This content is brought to you by Cannabis Clearwater, a one-stop shop compliance company. Cannabis Clearwater is a full-service compliance company assisting the cannabis industry with cultivation and nursery consulting, permits and licensing in all ancillaries, OSHA 30-hour and 10-hour training, ISO 9001 and ISO 17025 certifications, safety inspections, security inspections and build-outs, label review, and regulatory services for 510K submissions. For more information, go to www.cannabis-clearwater.com. That's www.cannabis-clearwater.com. This content is brought to you by Laced Media. Competition is fierce to show up on the first page of Google. If your website is not among the top 10 results in search, you're in big trouble. We specialize in digital marketing that gets results. As a marketing agency, we know your business is unique and want the world to know about you. Getting leverage in the digital world is not an easy task to take on your own. Laced Media is the leading digital marketing specialist that can launch your business by promoting how awesome you are. We take the time to understand your business and your customers to build a strategy that is perfect and capable of delivering remarkable results. Marketing can be stressful when you're not sure what to do, don't have time to do it, or just want someone else to manage it. For more information, go to www.lacemedia.com. That's www.lacedmedia.com. Hi, my name is Matt Hayashi from Cannabis Clearwater. I am so honored and happy to have Dave Sandomeno from Sunrise Mountain. How you doing, Dave?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Oh man, it's been a pleasure. I love it. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Although I did see you from the Emerald Cup
Yeah,
the
that
other
was
week.
great.
Yeah, that was
Great.
so much fun.
It was funny because I looked over at you and I'm so used to seeing you on the screen from before when we did the class and seeing your whole body there was kind of like this funny little like I know that guy and I see
Yeah.
what you did. There he is.
Just expand it. Expand it
Yeah.
wider though. I'm getting bigger wide ways. Not I'm shrinking, but I'm expanding like a square. Oh man. My one when I took my wife to the Emerald Cup, it was her second um cannabis convention. Actually, it was a third. And the first convention that we went to was it was in Portland. It was a cannabis convention in Portland. And this is when we just started out. And I took her there and I flew her out there and it was free because we were like members. So we got to go in and it was not like the Emerald Cup. It was like party central. It was just like everyone was smoking, everyone was having a good time. And she looks at me like, this is what we're doing. And I was just like, yeah, you'll get it. So she looks at me, and then we went, and I took her to the cannabis business summit in San Francisco last year. Totally different, right? Really
Yeah.
conservative,
Yeah.
a lot of investors,
Right.
a lot of manufacturing. So then she understood that portion of it. And so then when I took her to the Emerald Cup, she kind of understood what this was all about. So she got the taste of everything.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. So anyway, so tell me, how did you get into the cannabis business? The industry of farming is your passion, but let's bring it back. How did you get into it?
Well, I've always been a cannabis enthusiast. I am originally from the East Coast. Uh, Cultivating wasn't really in my world at that time, other than my grandparents had a killer food garden,
Okay.
and and it's funny because I didn't really think about it because I'm into natural farming and it really my grandparents I really look at them as kind of the root to the natural farming world because I didn't even know what they were doing then, but my grandfather has been burying fish in his yard for they had the property for 60 years, and
Wow.
for 50 years of that, I'm sure he was burying fish in the yard. And
Yeah.
my grandmother had her compost going, and her and her neighbors in the neighborhood, they had their connecting yards, and they all had gardens together.
Right.
But I mean, I was living in New Jersey, man. It was kind of like post-industrial wasteland of the industrial revolution and that whole like northeast New Jersey area.
Okay.
And so, anyway, to bring it around, is I started having a relationship with cannabis when I was probably around 13 years old, 14 years old then. And for me, it made reality make sense when viewing it through the lens of cannabis, amongst all the madness of the East Coast. And so
I can only imagine. Yeah.
and then I always had an aspire to come to California as a kid. And then when I graduated high school, buddy of mine, we traveled out to the West Coast in a van, went on a national park tour, and just toured the country for a minute, and got to see things, and came to Humboldt and had a fun experience here, and then had a chance to come back again. And then I moved here. It was in 97, October of 97. I moved to Humboldt
Wow.
County, and it wasn't too long that I figured out that Humboldt was the Shangri-La of weed. I really had no idea. I mean, I knew
Really?
about California kind bud, but it was never really associated to Humboldt back east. It was just we knew it as kind bud. And
Yeah.
so um, anyway, from there, it was pretty quick that I found someone to get some weed from when I moved to Humboldt. And, he like right there he like the second time I was at his house, he's like, dude, you want to check out my grow? And I was like, sure. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he brings me in, and I see this indoor little setup he had. And I was like, wow, okay. I was like, you can do that, huh? And I was like, all right. And then medical marijuana came online. Dennis Perone had signed the Proposition 215 for medical,
Yep.
and Dr. Todd Mikiyashi used to come to our area, and I was able to get my script, and that was my door in. It allowed me to have like a personal grow. And so I started my personal grow in 98, and it was just, this little put together thing in a closet, but it was my first relationship with a plant, growing it and watching it flower, and actually producing a little bit of a yield from it. And then from there, kind of just snowballed. I just always had a relationship with cannabis, and so it kind of just like made sense for me to grow my own. And when in the times that I wasn't growing for myself, I was helping other people with their grows, and
Right.
and then and then I had a situation where I was able to take care of a grow on my own, and I had met my wife, and she had bought a property, and I had some construction and plumbing skills. I'm a former plumber, and so I was able to help out with some stuff on her property. And um, and then, yeah, I kind of joke and say that we had kind of a great Humboldt County Gromance, and we kind of just started developing the property together. We started just propagating and our life together, and next thing you know, we have family, and we have this farm, and we made this thing, and
That's
we're just
great.
kind of like, wow, this is happening.
you know,
So
what was your first? Do you remember your first cultivar that you grew? Do you had no idea? Did you know what you were growing like, back your first?
no, back then it was just some clone. It was like two or three clones, and
Right.
I had no idea what it was that first time. But I do remember my first like real little indoor that like I had all the right components, and I was able to get this strain called the Green Tara.
The green
You know,
Tara. Nice name.
yeah, I thought it was a great starter strain right there, right? And so I was able to pull off a successful harvest. I was
Awesome.
super excited, and I was even pumped even more to like just get this relationship going with this live plant, the growing aspect, not just the consuming aspect.
You had the farming experience probably from that your grandfather probably taught you the basics and of
The
farming.
basics, yeah. I mean, just always just growing up, just growing some food. I mean, my
Right.
grandmother grew up in through the Great Depression, and like they became really resilient with just growing their own food. And
Yeah, mine too.
and her family came from the old country in Italy, and so like there was this whole like old school Italian farming background
Yeah.
that was now living in America, and like I was talking about, like all their neighboring yards all connected together, and they all grew food together, and like that, like kind of just it wasn't like a focus as a kid. It just was. That's just was what
Yeah.
you did. Like
It,
even at my house growing up, we had a little spot in our yard that we grew some tomatoes and string beans. So in the summer, we always had tomatoes and string beans.
they were Whole Foods even before Whole Foods wasn't even around. They were organic.
Yeah, yeah,
They did organic a long time ago
yeah. And
before
then
there was
coming to Humboldt
anything.
County and just seeing the culture, the cannabis culture, and just really feeling at home for the first time. It was like it just really like this place. I always kind of said that it either sucked you in or it spit you out, and
Hmm.
so I totally felt like I got sucked in here, and it was just being exposed to gardens and plants. I had gotten some work down in Southern Humboldt, and probably in '03 or '02,
Hmm.
helping with some harvesting and getting into the trim aspect and just seeing these gardens that were just absolutely gorgeous out in these beautiful areas, and just big beautiful plants, and seeing like, wow, this is how cannabis thrives
Yeah.
outside under the
Perfect climate.
sun, and then I've always also been into just kind of like the permaculture way of building garden space and natural building and such. I had a chance to learn how to build straw bale houses, and I helped build a really nice straw bale for a few years. Um, and so just that frame of mind of natural building, natural growing your own food, and just being sustainable,
Yeah.
and just getting into cannabis, and then learning with the plant, with the soil, and then these years that have really, the past 18 years, having one solid place to really work with this plant and the land and the everything around us, really taught me and my wife just how we have this relationship with creating beautiful living soil so that the plant can just thrive and do what it
Right.
does in the mountain sun, and live its best life so that we can get the best product
You
that
have
we
like an
can.
encyclopedia of knowledge, man.
Yeah, and I feel like we definitely gained it just directly from the plant itself,
We
so.
get calls. So now we get calls like they don't understand. Like a lot of the new people who want to get into the industry, we get calls, right? And all they want are seeds and seeds and seeds. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, do you know anything about farming? Like, then there's dead silence on the other end. Like, they have no idea how, all they see is the big picture, like the end of the end picture, right? Seeds. I got
But there's something to be said for that. So there's the magic. That's the magic of the plant right there. Like, what other plant, what other crop entices someone that they want to
That's
grow it?
true. That's a very
You know
good
what I
point.
mean? So it's like almost like this plant is calling you back to nature. Like, hey man, grow me. Learn how to put me in some soil and make my roots grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they
So
they love the challenge. They're gonna do it.
yeah. And
And
then then they find out whether or not if it's their thing. Some people might be surprised, like, wow, I really connect with this whole thing, and or maybe some people are like, oh, I tried that, too complicated, but whatever, go for it.
I saw that. And so in your bio here, you're into the Korean natural farming. What is like the Korean natural farming? Have you been to Korea?
Well, okay, so Korean natural farming is just farming that was the natural farming of the Asian continent, right? And
Okay.
so it kind of like started in Japan, and then Master Chow, who lives in Korea, learned in Japan and brought it back to uh, to Korea, and then so basically it's just cultivating the microbes from your indigenous areas and being able
Okay.
to grow your microbes and work with different kind of tonics that you can make with garlic and angelica, and you can and various other things, and uh and then there's like another step to it as well. I actually just spent this past weekend learning from Master Chow's son, Yang Song Chow, who's refined all these methods and made it even easier and more accessible for closing the loop on the farm. With Korean natural farming, you need sugar, you need rice, and these things in tropics or in the Asian continents where sugar and rice grows, it makes sense to be able to do those methodologies. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
really doing it on the farm, I found that Jadam method, the Jadam tech, really allows for taking from my farm and using everything that's just around me without really having to bring anything from the outside sources, and just go about it in a closed loop fashion. And it's a little bit more different. The methodologies are different, but I kind of use everything as a hybrid. I've learned from different ways, and I kind of like to learn from them all and hybrid them myself. And the plant kind of speaks to me in the sense that I can read the plant to know what it's asking for, and the changes that I have been making have been working really well. I'm getting great response, and I'm getting great end product,
Yeah.
and the flavor's strong and it stays. And I kind of feel that's part of the longevity of good outdoor, is that it holds its cannabinoid and terpene contents longer,
Okay.
especially when you're not feeding it a bunch of synthetics and it's actually just accessing everything that it needs on its own in the soil. And we just give it the love that it needs. So
How many people do you think are growing the way you grow, the Korean natural farming versus the modern, stuff?
I would say that you'd be surprised that there's probably more than you think, especially the smaller farmers. I feel
Love it.
like it just makes sense. I mean, there was almost 200 peoples at this conference this past weekend. It's a
Oh, that's
small little
great. That's
Grange
great.
in
Yeah.
Sebastopol, and it just was inspiring to see. There's a bunch of cannabis farmers there, and I think people are just really getting more in tune with the craft of growing on the small farm.
Did you say the Grange in Sebastopol?
In Sebastopol, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm a member of the Grange. I remember.
Oh, all right, nice. Well, I
Yeah,
was just there.
yeah, I know. I talk to Vince. I talk to Vince quite often. So,
Nice.
yeah, yeah, it's a
It
great.
was great. It was a great event. It was a great location too. It
Yeah.
was beautiful there.
Oh
So
man, the next time you're in town, we'll get some beers.
yeah, nice. I should have called you, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that people are kind of. It surprises me, but I loved hearing that people are doing it the way more of a natural way, more of a symbiotic. I don't know if that's the correct word.
No, I think that work can work. I mean, you're looking for symbiotic relationships between everything that's going on. Like you have your plants in the ground or in soil, that the soil is alive because it has the microbes, and then you have your pollinating plants that support the positive bugs and the beneficial insects that help ward off the pests. And
Yeah.
then with the Jadam, you even have tech that teaches you how to make your own pesticides and sprays. And you can do everything for very inexpensive and very easily. So
Yeah.
so really, I mean, I think it's why the Jadam method is really catching on as well. It's just because it's the ease of it, and with the way the market is and the cost as it is, we have to all be aware of how we're how much we're spending on our grow. So
Do you
and
is it more cost effective doing the Jadam way than the conventional way?
for me, I found yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, that's
Yeah.
that's one reason. I mean,
Yeah.
saving money in this industry. That's
Saving money and then also closing the loop and breaking away the dependency of having to have be reliant on store bought amendments. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
um,
wondering if the end user, the consumer, if they can tell the difference of your product versus someone who makes a product more of a conventional style, if they will be able to tell the difference if they go to like a dispensary and figure out if you put two flowers there at the same time, I wonder if they could tell the difference.
I think that they would. I think the flavor would come through a lot stronger.
Oh, oh,
I'm
that's
sure
great.
there's others that would beg to differ and would love to argue that point.
That's why they need a
um,
sample.
I would love to give you a sample.
They nowadays it's just kind of like it makes sense to what do they call it, tasting bars or smoking bar, what do they call those? The new thing is
The consumption lounges.
consumption lounges. Yeah, consumption lounges, and it just totally makes sense if you want to try it, and here's a sample, here's some money, try it out, and
Totally.
you can go from
Totally.
there. So I mean, for me,
Yeah, I think the consumption models like goes, well, like with the dispensary, so the consumer can kind of come in and they can make their choice and then just kind of be there at the place and walk into the next room or something, be able to hang out and just have a smoke with their friends and meet new
yeah,
people and have a good time.
it's too bad though that they couldn't do it like at an actual I mean, legally. It's too bad they couldn't do it like do it, go to a real nursery or go to a real outdoor cultivation, seek it all out, and then you try it right there. And then if you are interested, you just buy it and just go from there. And you don't have to go to a dispensary like wineries do it. You go to a friggin' winery,
All
you
right,
pick
well,
your
well, Matt,
wine.
you are hitting the nail on the head, man, because
Makes
that's
sense.
exactly that's exactly what we're looking for right now. That's what we want to do. I mean, as small farms, what better way to show the end user what they're putting their money into than to have them come to the farm and have this like total experience where they get to look at the plants, be in the garden, see where it's grown, take in the view, breathe in the air, feel the sunshine on them, and be like, "Holy cow, this is totally amazing!" Give them it's an experience,
It's
and
totally a different experience.
I think people need to get out of the city. I think they need to disconnect from everything and then reconnect with nature and put their feet in the dirt and just have that experience, and hopefully that's going to happen. Those are the dreams that we are aspiring for. But there's some things that we have to work out with county. There's always some sort of limitations of some sort, whether it's our roads not wide enough, or liability or bathrooms, or there's always something. There's a work, but we have to just figure out and work with our county officials and with our trade organizations and just see if we could you know make these things a reality, because I think that's a totally viable thing to help all of our small farmers really help stay relevant in the market as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the birth is like that's what you want to do. Like, you don't want to go to, when you buy a bottle of wine, you don't want to just go to the wine store and just go and buy off on what the salesperson's saying, because they get like 20% commission anyways. So it's just like, why would you want to do that when you could just drive another hour, go to the place, see it for yourself, do a little tasting, and then go, holy crap, I am going to buy like you know, instead of one bottle, you buy like a case. Well, you could totally apply that model to your farm. It's
Yeah.
I was talking to so I had talked to Vince and at Hessel, and we were thinking about kind of doing this thing where we would open it up to like an education center at the Grange and do these summer month. Well, he wanted like every other week, but like do these weekend markets where all of these people who are growers, they set up a booth and people just come in and just get the sample. It's on private land. We wouldn't get kicked out. And if you like this, you like that, here's a little, here's a little sample, try it out. And if you like it, here's what we're selling it for. And I think it's a great idea. I think, just to get people to understand, like a lot of the customers, or at least a lot of people that I see, are from the Bay Area. Yeah, right. And so they have an abundance amount of money, right? Facebook, Google, they have all this money, right? So they go to their local dispensary, and they're missing the bigger picture of what this is. Like they brag about going to their favorite dispensary, which is fine. It's probably like some posh thing, or you know what I mean? It's like cute and all this stuff. But if you just, you know, take your car and just drive up like 4 or 5 hours up and get the real deal, I think that has a better impact on them, because it affects their psyche. They're seeing the sun, they're tasting it, they're enjoying life, and it just makes a bigger impact on what they're doing and what they're trying to buy and all this stuff. So 100% totally get it. You know, one of these days we'll.
Totally, and then they get to meet the farmer too. And then you have the consumer. Is that yeah? Then you have the consumer to farmer connection, and that's an experience for people that who are living in the city that they don't get to have.
Yeah, I
So
mean, yeah, cross that Golden Gate Bridge and just drive up 4 or 5 hours and just have a weekend out of it, and just
be awesome.
go to Sunrise
Yeah,
Mountain.
and there is stuff like that happening. Our neighbors over in Trinity, they're really close to us. They also have their little glamping resort, Soul Spirit in Trinity. So you can do that there right now, where they have like these nice glamping tents, and you can have an experience on their farm. And I
That's
know that
cool.
there's some folks
That's very cool.
in Soham that are doing some that you can get in touch with, and he'll take you around Humboldt County and escort you to different farms, so
Yeah.
people can get to see some farms. And so there's these things are happening, right? But it's just a matter of them getting a little bit more normalized in the bureaucratic and local systems that just realize it's another aspect of the tourist industry that can be really good, really valuable.
Do you think part of it is? Do you think part of the consumers is there are some old stigmas that are tied to this whole thing?
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt. People are scared of the plant, dude. So I think everyone just needs to, you know, smoke one and relax.
I think so. I'm having
So,
yeah, I'm having Maria, who owns a dispensary in LA, and she's going to be on, I think, in a couple of weeks, and she's going to talk about like the type of customers that come in. But more importantly, we're going to talk about like, hey, don't be afraid of going into a dispensary. Like, don't be intimidated, or don't feel weird about going to these things,
mhm,
because it's like just going to a regular grocery store nowadays. It's like nothing.
totally.
You just walk in,
Yeah.
do your thing. It's like not that hard. So
And I
hopefully,
think that's what the dispensaries are great for. And I hope that, the counties that aren't allowing for dispensaries in California, and, there's a lot of that. And so, I just hope that people can really open up and see that dispensaries will just help, open up our market a bit more, and it would stifle the illicit market, just because the illicit market, if I mean, counties that don't have a dispensary, like, people smoke weed that live in your county, and by not having that dispensary, that person's going to go to their regular guy that they've always gone to, and because they don't have the option to go to the dispensary, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, yeah.
and delivery services are great and all that. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think counties need to open up and just allow retail everywhere. I think the state needs this, because yeah, I think that would help things a lot too.
Where do you see this industry going within the next couple of years?
Uh, I would like to think that the California market is just going to mature more, where the consumer is going to be able to discern between, cannabis that's been cared for and then
Mhm.
what, mass produced, and I think that the market's just going to become a little bit more educated, and I think that people who are resilient will be able to survive, and yeah, it's just going to take a little bit more time, but I'm an optimist, so I'm kind of thinking that
Me too.
the market's gonna work in a way that it's gonna embrace those who are in it, like that have been in it, and I think that with some legislate happening as far as interstate commerce and that conversation just getting started,
Hmm.
I would really like to see those avenues start to open up as well. So I'm feeling optimistic that we have a path to open market in the
Yeah.
next 5 years.
Oh, that would
That's
that would be nice.
that would be nice.
You
That would
get
be
that,
nice.
by then I mean, you'll be a millionaire, but by then I could just see these orders coming in for you, and you're gonna be like, let's just FedEx it, to we just got an order, we have to overnight it to such and such. You have to drop it off of FedEx, and there you go. There you go. I love it.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. I mean, maybe it'll be that easy someday, but definitely not anytime soon. So, um, but it's all good. We're just we're stoked to still be in it and
Yeah.
having our product on the market for the folks of California to enjoy.
Where is, shout yourself out. Where is Sunrise Mountain?
But I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like I don't keep a tab on the retail that we're in because I'm more focused on farm. Like Laura
Yeah,
Lee does all the that. But what I can tell you is check out our website,
there you go.
sunrisemountainfarms.com, and we have a locator. You hit the locator
Okay.
device, and it lets you know where we're at and all across California. So we definitely have a good reach from we are in all parts of California, San Diego, LA, Sacramento, Shasta area, and Humboldt area, of course. And so
Nice.
we're just not in every dispensary, but we're out there, and we hope that you guys just ask for us and try us out, and hope you like what you taste.
100%. 100%. So Sunrise Mountain, you guys go check it out. If it's everywhere, it's in California. And in the next 5 years, if Dave's the question ball that you shake and it gives the answer, I think, yeah, 5 years in starting from now would be a great time where we could start opening it up for interstate commerce and doing all that stuff. It's good stuff. So,
Right
well,
on.
right on, man. I really appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Had a great
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, we'll do this again.
All
I'll see
right,
you
sounds
soon.
good, Matt.